Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. So today we're going to be having a look at a tool called Testcontainers. Now, Testcontainers basically lets you run Docker within your unit tests. And of course, if you're running Docker within your unit tests, it's probably no longer considered a unit test. But all this means is it allows you to run Docker within the framework and the library that you're using, instead of kind of using external scripts to kind of coordinate running Docker and waiting for things to spin up and then bringing in your language and tools. So Testcontainers is available in multiple different languages. I'm going to be doing my example today in Java, but you can check the repository. You can see here we have Go, Node, Python, Rust, and I think a few others. But yeah, if you enjoy this kind of content, please consider subscribing, and let's get right into it. So just before we dive into the code, first, probably worth understanding why we need this tool at all, and then maybe just having a very brief overview of how kind of Testcontainers works, and then we can dive into the code. So in terms of the why, basically when you're running tests for your backend applications, you have different levels of testing. The most kind of common one is unit tests, and within a unit test, you usually want to mock or stub out external dependencies because you want the test to be fast. You want a quick feedback loop. So you end up mocking or stubbing the external databases, for example, with kind of pre-configured responses, and then you can kind of test the functions in isolations. There's another kind of level of testing which basically tests exactly this. This tests the connection between your actual functions and the third-party resource, like a database connection, and to make sure that everything is working fine. And because it's testing it against a real resource, you're going to get big benefits from that. And this is basically what Testcontainers helps you with. So it's going to spin up, for example, in this case, I'm going to be using a Postgres database. It's going to spin up a real instance of Postgres within Docker, and it's going to do this all within the unit tests. You can see it all kind of programmatically there. The only thing we need to do is make sure we have Docker running on the machine. So we're going to spin up that Docker image, the Docker container, and then we're going to run our tests against that Docker container. So we're going to get the credentials and connect to it, run the tests, and then finish up the tests. And that's basically the kind of the concepts of it. So the only other thing to kind of understand here is that Testcontainers gives you kind of a few pre-configured modules. So it allows you to run, in this case, I think it's called a generic container, which means you can just pass in any sort of image name and tag that you want, and it will just be able to spin it up. I think you can also run Docker files and your own kind of Docker Compose files there. So you can do kind of all the standard custom setup that you use day to day with Docker. But it also has a bunch of pre-built modules, which are basically abstractions over existing or kind of common tools that people use. So you can see here we have Elasticsearch, Kafka, AWS, and then a list of databases. So in this tutorial, I'm going to be using this Postgres module, which basically gives you some nice helper methods, basically, and just makes life a bit easier. And again, all the documentation is for the different languages are on GitHub, so I'll leave a link to that below. But yeah, I think that's enough of an introduction. Let's dive right into the code. So I've initialized a brand new Java application using Gradle, and this is just kind of boilerplate. It's got really nothing in it. I've just added this app class with a couple of methods which we'll be testing. In terms of dependencies, this is all it's got is Duke and Postgres. So Duke is just how I run my or make and run my SQL queries. Postgres because we're using Postgres, and then it's just got JUnit for the testing, and then AssertJ is just an assertion library. So these are kind of again boilerplate, not too important for now. If we head over to the app.java, the only thing we need to know here is we have a create function and a find function, and these are just going to run a couple of SQL queries, again using Duke. So it's just going to insert a user. We're working with this user record here, email name. It's just going to insert a user into the user table, or it's going to find or select star, so it's going to find all the users, and it's just going to convert it to a list of users. So hopefully relatively simple thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new test for these. So let me just select this guy. So all I've done is create a test class, and we're going to test. We'll just write one test. So this is going to creates and finds users. So that's going to be very simple. We're going to write out the test, see why it won't work until we bring in Testcontainers. We'll bring that in, and then hopefully that will kind of wrap everything up. So of course we're going to be testing our app. So we're just going to create a new instance of our app here, and our app takes in kind of a connection connection class, and this is very kind of standard way of doing things in Java. This connection class to a SQL database. So one of the ways to get this kind of connection is use this thing called a driver manager. I won't go into too much details, but this basically just takes in the URL, username, password, and creates a connection to the database. Now, of course, we don't have any of those yet because we haven't spun up a database or anything. We'll get that from Testcontainers later on, so I'll just pop in null. That throws an exception. And we're just going to pass in a connection there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy a bit of boilerplate code just so we can see what our test is doing here. So if I just take these few lines here, so all this is doing is this is creating a couple of users, red and blue. Let me just import the user there. And then it's going to create them, and then it's just going to assert that finding those users contains exactly red and blue in any order. So we're not really bothered about order. We're just checking that these two users exist in the database when we find it. So relatively simple test. Of course, first thing we need to do is get the Testcontainers dependency added and start the container, and then that way we can add the connection string. So let's head over to build.gradle. I've got the dependencies here on the right hand side. Again, you can just get them from the documentation. That's going to be different depending on which tool you're using. For me, I'm just adding the test container JUnit dependency, so it works with JUnit, and then I'm just saying specifically I'm going to be using the Postgres module. So I'm just going to refresh Gradle, so that should be added, and that's fine. There will be one more dependency, but we'll come back to that in a moment. And then we're going to come back to our test. Now, the way this works here is we're going to use a try with resources block. So we have this Postgres container class, and then that just basically takes in a specific tag that we want to use. So I've got this tag that I'm using here, and you can use any Postgres tag. Specifically, I'm going to be using 4.1 Alpine. Alpine generally is a lighter weight one, so I'm just going to basically take the lightweight one because I want it to run as quick as possible. And I'm just going to wrap my entire test around this this try with resources, and try with resources. All it's going to do here specifically is it's just going to make sure that when it gets to the end of this block, it's going to close any resources that the container, in this case, is going to basically stop running the container, but we still need to programmatically or make sure we explicitly start it. So this is all we need to do. Now, when we run this, basically after this line, it's going to start a Docker container on your machine, so you need to ensure you have Docker running, and then it's going to go through and run the tests. Now, the obvious question, where do we get the connection strings? Well, it's all within this Postgres instance here. So because it's a Postgres SQL container, which is an abstraction over the kind of the generic ones that they have, they're going to have a few built-in kind of helper methods to help us out. So if we go to Postgres, we can see a bunch of helper methods here. So I'm just going to get the JDBC URL. Let me just close this guy here. And I'm going to do the same for the username, I think it is, and then the same for the password. Here we go. And this has got a bunch of defaults in it. If you want to configure any of these, you just update basically this instance. So when you create this instance, it's a bit of a kind of a builder pattern here. So you can do the new Postgres container, and then you can use, if you just prefix with, you'll see a bunch of options. So you can add your own, database names, passwords, etc. This is where you configure, ports, expose ports, anything that you want to do. And one kind of little tip here is, if you've got problems with your test and you want to debug it locally, you want to physically go into, basically connect to the database. If you run with expose ports, so you can expose the default ports, and then if you add a breakpoint and you stop within this, you can actually just connect to the database directly, because if it reaches the end of the test, it's of course going to kill the database basically, so you won't have access to it after the fact, just if you want to debug things. So that's the test running. We're going to run it now, and it's going to fail, and we'll see why in a moment, because we've forgotten one crucial thing. So that's the test failed, and if we go into the logs here, we can see relation user does not exist. That's the crucial thing that we're missing. We haven't actually created or told the application how to create the necessary table. So we've of course specified that we need a user table with an email and name, but we haven't actually told it how to create it. We haven't created it anywhere. And this is where database migrations come in. So I've just done a video on database migrations, the concept, how it works, with an example using Flyway. So I'm not going to go into it too much here, but that's basically the big missing piece. As soon as we get into any sort of automation, in terms of whether it's testing or deployment, you need a way to automatically create and manage your database tables and any kind of migrations there. So that's what we need to bring in here. So I'm going to bring in Flyway. and I'm not going to go over too much details here. I'll kind of briefly talk what I'm going through, but I'd recommend checking out the video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to build.gradle, and I'm just going to add in the flyway dependency here. And then I'm going to go back over to my test, and I basically just need to run the migrations before anything tries to reach them. So right after the database has spun up, which is after this postgres.start, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run programmatically the flyway migration. So in my previous tutorial, we showed how to do that with the Gradle plugin. Of course, you can run it with CLI. Because we're running in the test, we need to run it before anything tries to connect to the test. So we're going to configure this, and we're going to configure a data source. And we're just going to basically, it takes in the exact same thing as this connection here. So we're just going to copy this line here. So that's these three here, the username, URL, username, password. And then we're going to load these migrations. These just get loaded from the resources, which we'll do in a moment. And then we're just going to run migrate. So that's basically the scenario there. So I'm just going to copy over the migration. So what I'll do is inside the main resources here, I'm just going to create a new directory structure. So that goes into db/migration. And then we're just going to copy over this migration. So all this is going to be doing is just creating a user table with ID, email, name. There's a specific naming convention to it. So that's version 0, i.e. it's the first migration. And that should be everything. So now we're starting the Docker container, Postgres, we're running the migrations, and then we're running the test here. So let's run play and see how that goes. And there we have it. So of course this will take slightly longer than your standard unit test because it's going to spin up the Postgres container first and wait for it to get started. But you can see here in the logs, it's running the flyway, it's doing the migrations, and then of course the test here has passed. And yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to cover in this video. So of course for this project, I've just chucked everything into the standard test source set. Typically in a Java application, you probably want to separate out your unit test and your integration test. You know, as a matter of fact, it should be any project you want to separate those out. So you can get different speeds of feedback loops. And I think I'm gonna wrap it up there. So thank you very much for watching. Have a good day, and I will see you in the next one.